Good afternoon. How do you know if someone's a vegan? Just wait. They'll tell you. They can't help it. They'll just tell you. They can't help it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tarik El Yabani. I'm 30 years old. Oh, I'm vegan, by the way. Now, I've come on here today just to discuss my journey into veganism because, believe me, I never thought I'd actually be a vegan, let alone being up on this stage actually telling you about it. So, who here, by way of a show of hands, who here has actually tried veganism before? Fantastic, quite a few. That's good, that's good. Okay, so I've been vegan for about 2 years, just over 2 years. And for those who aren't sure what veganism actually is, it's basically, it's not a diet, it's more of a lifestyle where you abstain from the consumption of animal products, meat, dairy, chicken, fish, anything that comes from an animal, you abstain from it. So, and anyone who knows me will know that it's quite a radical change for me because I was a big meat eater. Because obviously, when you think of a vegan, you have this sort of stereotypical image of someone who's young, thin, has a lot of long hair, tree hugger, environmentalist. As you can see, I've got a bit of a struggle with the long hair part. But so I made the change to veganism as one does when one makes such a huge lifestyle change after watching a documentary on Netflix. Namely, two documentaries. They're called The Game Changers and What the Health. I'm not sure if anyone's seen them, but one got me thinking and the other planted the seed, if you'll excuse the pun. So I decided to give it a go. I was very skeptical. You know, I like all the food that we as a community have all sort of grown up eating. You know, calamari frito, peppered steak, la cosa buena, basically. Plus, adding to that, I have Moroccan parents. So you got your lamb tagine, your chicken couscous. ¿Pa qué? ¿Qué hambre me está entrando ahora? ¿Pa qué hablar? So it was quite a big jump for me to suddenly stop that. And I did it cold turkey on the 14th of December, 2019. I decided I'm going to give it a try. But I was very skeptical. I thought that after a couple of days, you know, I'd stuff my face with an Nordic special. Seguro. But 2 years and a bit, I haven't had any meat or any dairy, which is still surreal hearing those words coming out of my mouth. Now, I did it because the documentaries that I saw were looking at a plant-based diet from a health perspective. I mean, I'm not the sort of person who's an environmentalist. I'm the complete opposite. I used to take the mickey out of vegans. I'm all about cars, and I'm not a tree hugger by any means. So it was quite a jump, and so I tried. Obviously, the first challenge you probably all think to yourself, for those of you who haven't actually done or tried a plant-based diet, is ¿qué como? Am I going to eat rabbit food? Am I going to comer lechuga? Basically, because that's the first thing that I thought. What am I doing? But 2 years on, what I've learned is I've broadened my horizons. I've actually learned to cook. I've gone beyond the same three animals that we all consume on a regular basis. There are 20,000 plants, in excess of 20,000 plants, that are safe for human consumption. And when you think about it, when you really think about it, 20,000 plants, we're still eating the same 3 or 4 animals. It's quite striking, that. Now, it's not easy going from a meat-eating diet to a diet based entirely on plants. It's not difficult either. You're not, no te va a quedar con hambre or anything like that. But it takes adjusting. Although the biggest difficulty that I had experienced, and this is part of the reason why I've actually come on here today to tell my story, the biggest difficulty, the biggest challenges that I found is not the food, the nutrition, no. It's having to explain my decision to everyone. Todo el mundo me mira con una cara, ¿tú eres vegan? ¿Qué come lechuga? Yeah, it really is like that. And it's never enough justification, no matter how much I tell them it's because of the health reasons, because of environmental reasons, whatever. It's never enough justification. And suddenly, people who've known you your entire life, who would never look twice at what was on your plate when it was full of kebab and chips, would suddenly become nutritional experts. Suddenly, where'd you get your protein? El B12, el amino acids. Everyone becomes a nutritional expert and starts commenting on your plate. And that is the hardest part of being a vegan. So 2 years on, I could never go back to an animal-based diet. Given the effects that I've felt within my own body, forget the social stigma, because we can deal with that. And veganism is now starting to become more widely accepted, especially in our community. I mean, you can go to Gaucho's, which is a steakhouse, and it has vegan options. So it's quite easy to be a vegan. I would never go back. And when you come to think of it, it's quite an antiquated style of food system that we have, that we've got to breed animals, to slaughter them, just to eat them. I mean, when you really think about it and you look into the data and the information on this, the amount of water and food and land that's needed to grow baby calves into full-on cows just so you can have a burger, it is staggering. It really is. And again, this is coming from someone who was not an environmentalist by any stretch of the word. But you start becoming more conscious about what you're eating, your food choices, and the effect that they have, not only on your own body, but on the planet. I'm just going to give you a couple of quick facts, quick figures that left a lasting impact on me. For example, 15% of global emissions come from animal agriculture. For that, what I mean by animal agriculture, I mean obviously herding cows for dairy, for milk and cheese, for yogurts, chickens, pigs, you name it, fish. 15%. To put that into perspective, that is more than all forms of transport. I'm talking cars, trains, planes, ships, lo que tú quieras. All forms of transport combined. It's quite striking when you think of it like that. Plus the amount of water that goes into raising cattle, and of course their feed, because you've got to feed these animals. And if you look at a cow, it's quite a big animal. It's got to eat quite a bit. In addition to that, there's also, again, this is very weird for me to say because I was never this sort of person, but the actual animal rights itself, those animals don't get a say in what happens to them, but we slaughter them anyway, regardless. And these animals don't want to die. We keep them in cramped conditions and feed them antibiotics to fight diseases, but it doesn't work because diseases still spread. And we perhaps are looking at the next pandemic on this front. So, whilst I appreciate that the whole environmentalism and animal rights isn't appealing to everyone, because it really wasn't to me, I'll be completely honest. I think we really need to think carefully about our food choices as a society, for mainly, if anything, for our health. Because we are the leading scientists around the world are now beginning to link successfully heart disease, cancer, cholesterol, all sorts of illnesses that we now accept as almost the norm amongst us, to our animal-based diets. So I think maybe I'm not here to convert you and say you've all got to become vegan, come lechuga y está. But I think we need to think about perhaps cutting down our meat and dairy consumption, not only for our own health, but obviously for the health of the planet and those animals that obviously have to die in order to get onto our plates. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you. Cheers.